Hey everybody, here is a rather interesting part system. And all I can say up front is if this is the first time you've seen this computer watching this video, you haven't seen the worst of it. The first video I did of this computer was out at the garage cleaning it out. This thing was bad filthy. I mean really bad filthy. It was a big dust bunny that measured probably 3 inches by 2 inches of dust and dead bugs. However, I'll even say it again, this computer is not as bad as some I've gotten in the past. But anyways, in this video I'm going to give you a closer view of this thing, of the hardware and everything, and test it out, see what works and what doesn't. This is an Acer Aspire model. Barely see it. Oh, there it is. AM5640-U5401A. Currently has an Intel Pentium dual-core E2160 processor. Originally it had 3 gigs of DDR2 memory and a 250 gig hard drive. Still has its Super multi-drive and has a card reader. A pretty nice card reader at that. And originally had Windows Vista. And as with many of these Acer cases from, let's say, the mid-2000s up to now, are very nice. They have plenty of drive bays and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we got 4 USB ports right here and your audio jacks, and of course with the card reader, that's a 5th USB port, and of course your card reader. And this card reader has a integrated firmware port. Here's an unused expansion bay. There's the DVD burner. Now I'm going to take a look inside this thing. And as I'm pulling the cover off the side, get you a quick glance of that I/O shield plate. Look at all the connectors that are on it. The thing has a bunch of connectors. I'll come back to those in just a moment. Might be a good idea to flip it on its side to get more light. Have a look at this thing. I'm not sure if the motherboard works. I have not even tested this thing yet, because it has no memory. Computer sort of decided to take all the RAM out, and of course the hard drive too, as they always do with these things. Rather a hefty CPU core, pretty typical for gateways and Acers. They have an overkill CPU core. I imagine that thing's very loud when it's all the way running. There's one thing I noticed right away. This motherboard is not completely bolted in. I see a bunch of missing screws. The example would be one here, and one over here. Let's see how loose the board is. Okay, it's not terribly loose. There's still some screws in it, so that way I can still test it. But I am planning on taking this motherboard out and using it if it's a good one. I mean, again, have a look at this. This motherboard has very nice audio. There's your optical out and SPDIF out right here. On its own separate little daughter board. We have, I believe, 8-channel audio here. We have 4 USB ports here. Firewire, Ethernet, VGA out, serial, PS2 keyboard and mouse, and even HDMI video. This motherboard probably has decent onboard graphics to have HDMI out like that. And of course your modem. For anybody who still wants to fax, or anybody who's still stuck with dial-up. And notice something right away here is the previous owner of this thing, I guess the power supply quit working, so he replaced a probably good quality FSP power supply with this gutless wonder of piece of junk called A-Power. which I'll get to that here shortly. I will not be testing this computer with this power supply. I'll go ahead and pull it out and have a look inside. I'll do that in another video. There's one bulging capacitor here on this board. That'll have to be replaced if the board works. What's funny, you notice we had these Panasonic or Matsushita capacitors here. And we have the bulging capacitor, I believe is an OST. There's another OST up there next to it, it's just fine. I don't see any other failed capacitors on this board, so it's just one capacitor I have to replace. Not very hard at all. So that being said, let's go ahead and prepare to test it. You can get a stick of DDR2 memory to put in this thing, and a power supply that's actually worth the crap, and test this thing and see how it does. See if it runs. Okay, I got the working power supply and memory installed into the computer, but first have a look at the power supply that come out of that thing. Just look how filthy it is. This is after I blew the entire system out with the air compressor, and I blew it out so much I had to recharge the compressor like once or twice, the big air compressor. This computer apparently was sitting in a basement or something, somewhere where there was a lot of moisture, to cause this. I mean, look at how nasty that is. I mean, really. People, why do you let your computers get this nasty? Okay, that being said, here is the system. Got my power supply installed, the modified Bestech that I use for testing part systems. We'll go ahead and slide it on back and hook everything up. We'll see if this motherboard works or not. Hopefully the cheap A-Power gutless one power supply didn't kill it. I certainly hope not. Alright everybody, here's the moment of truth. Let's see if it works or not. Power supply is getting power. Okay, there's a power button. Let's go ahead and press it. Not a problem. It works. This thing was $14.99. You know, I'm guessing it was priced so cheap because of how filthy it was. There's the BIOS. AMI BIOS. I'm looking to see if this thing still has a manufacturing sticker on it or not. Curious to see if this Acer was made in the United States, just like the last Acer desktop I got as a part system. I don't know. But the fact this thing still works is a testament of Acer quality. I mean, Acer's I'd say one of the better brands when it comes to OEMs. This thing just started right up as if nothing was wrong. Now, of course, I don't know if that cheap power supply there works or not, but that is a Chief Max. I'll do a video on that later, as I mentioned earlier. Let's go ahead and look through this BIOS to wrap up this video. It tells you the information about the computer, which, of course, if I put the motherboard in a different computer, it won't matter anyway, because all this information won't even be accurate anymore. But there's your standard CMOS features. This is normally the first part of the menu. This thing is using either 128 megabytes or 256 megabytes for video memory. It's saying there's 1791 megabytes. And for some reason or another, this thing, okay, it's not letting me go down to floppy A, so that tells me it recognizes there's no floppy drive installed. It's detecting our SATA DB burner. Here's advanced BIOS features. This is pretty typical. Yep, 256 megabytes are being dedicated to the onboard video. And have a look here. This motherboard has RAID. Definitely not bad. So it tells me this motherboard is based off of NVIDIA chipset when we see the NVIDIA there. I didn't know if it was based off of NVIDIA or Intel. Integrated peripherals, onboard devices, power management setup. Nothing too fancy here. PCI PMP configuration. PC health status. CPU's running rather cool. Does not allow you to disable smart fan. However, it does allow you to set a warning temperature and a shutdown temperature. Don't know why Acer wouldn't have this set to something. So, it's 75C. Warning temperature. I'll leave that disabled. Let's save changes since I made some changes. This thing runs fabulous. So what I'll be doing here is I'll go ahead and take this board out. Of course, it's trying to boot off of the LAN. One thing I'll be doing here is taking this board out, replacing that back capacitor, and I'm going to use this board in the HP case down there. That was originally a Windows 7 system, so I'm going to refurbish that and make a Windows 7 computer out of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Pentium dual core out and switch it out for a Core 2 Duo. I got a Core 2 Duo CPU laying around. I can't remember exactly what the frequency was, but you make a nice upgrade for this thing. So anyways, not too bad of a deal. Any questions or comments? Feel free to ask, and thanks for watching.